ever wondered why a man sleeping under a bridge can smile in the morning, while someone in a luxury apartment lies awake in the dark? Let me ask you something strange. Are you truly living, or just collecting more things, hoping they'll make you feel alive? There's a story I must tell you. It's not grand. It doesn't involve riches or fame or miracles. Just an old man, a clay teacup, and a truth so quiet. Most people never hear it. His name was Elias. He lived alone in a small hut on the side of a misty hill, far from the noise of the world. No electricity, no internet, no door locks. All he owned fit into a wooden box, a blanket, a pot, a teacup, a book of old prayers. To outsiders, he was poor, but to those who truly listened, he was the richest man they had ever met. Every morning, Elias lit a stick of incense and whispered, "Thank you, life. You've given me all I need, air in my lungs, peace in my chest, and tea to share." Strange, isn't it? We chase cars, promotions, endless likes online. Elias chased silence and found joy. So tell me this, if someone has everything, but no peace, and another has almost nothing, but sleeps with a light heart, who is truly rich? Now listen closely, because the choice you make after this story might just change the weight of your soul forever. Elias wasn't always a simple man. Once, he lived in the city, wearing suits, checking stock prices, drinking coffee from paper cups, walking too fast to taste it. He had a family, a nice car, a house with too many rooms, and too few real conversations. Then came the crash. The markets fell. His business collapsed. Friends vanished. His wife left. And one rainy night, Elias sat alone, in a room full of furniture, but completely empty of warmth. That night, he walked out, left everything behind. He wandered for days, then weeks, until one evening he stumbled upon a silent village in the hills. An old monk offered him shelter, asked no questions, just a bowl of rice and a smile. Elias stayed. At first, he couldn't sleep without checking emails. He missed the rush, the noise, the validation. But over time, the silence began to speak. He started planting vegetables. He learned to fix torn sandals with thread. He drank tea, not to wake up, but to slow down. And each night, he would sit beneath the stars and whisper, "Is this happiness?" One day, a woman from the city arrived. Her name was Claire. She was burned out, stressed, lost. She stayed in a guest hut, trying to meditate, but crying every night. Elias saw her from afar, saw the version of himself he used to be. He knocked gently on her door and offered her tea in a cracked ceramic cup. Claire looked at him, confused. "How can you be so calm? You have nothing." Elias smiled. "That's why I'm calm. I no longer carry what doesn't belong to me." She cried, not because she was sad, but because she finally understood. Sometimes, it's not what we lack that hurts us. It's everything we've been told we must carry. What if happiness was never meant to be complicated? We grow up in a world that teaches us to chase more success, more followers, more achievements, but rarely do we hear, chase less. The truth is simple, and that's why we miss it. We are taught to measure life in numbers. How many likes, how many dollars, how many things we own, and slowly we begin to believe that owning more means being more. But the Buddha taught, desire is the root of suffering. Not just desire for pleasures, but the craving to become someone else, to be somewhere else, to always need more than what is here. Now, Elias learned this the hard way. His suffering didn't begin when he lost his business. It began long before. It began the moment he tied his worth to things outside of himself. He once said, "I used to decorate my house with gold, but my heart remained hollow. Now, I decorate my life with simplicity, and I've never felt richer." There is a quiet joy in simplicity. The world has forgotten. Think of the last time you sat with a cup of tea and did absolutely nothing. No scrolling, no comparing, no planning, just being. That moment, as tiny as it may seem, holds more peace than an entire mansion built on stress. Simplicity doesn't mean living without. It means living with intention, with clarity, with presence. You don't need to renounce the world. You don't need to become a monk. But you do need to ask, what am I carrying that I don't need anymore? Is it the voice of comparison? The fear of not being enough? The pressure to be someone everyone else approves of? Let them go. Because when your hands are too full, you can't receive. But when you open your palms, empty, honest, life can finally place something sacred in them. Claire later said, "He didn't change my life with advice. He changed it with silence, with the way he stirred his tea, with the way he smiled. Not because something good happened, but because he had already stopped needing life to impress him." And maybe that's the lesson we all need. Stop demanding life to be exciting. Let it be simple. Let it be enough. Because at the end of the road, no one says, "I wish I worked more." They say, "I wish I had slowed down, loved deeper, laughed freely, and let go sooner." So, ask yourself now, are you carrying a burden that was never yours? Are you trying to impress a world that doesn't even notice you're hurting? If you stop chasing everything, what might start chasing you instead? The wise do not cling. They release. And in that release, joy enters like a breeze through an open window. So now, pause, take a breath, feel the air in your lungs, the stillness in this moment. Even for a second, didn't it feel enough? You don't have to sell everything. You don't have to disappear into the mountains. But you do have a choice, right here, right now, to carry less, to expect less, to love yourself more. Not because you're doing more, but because you are learning to need less. Start small, clean a drawer, say no to something that drains you. Turn off your phone for 1 hour. Breathe, be. Because every act of simplicity is a rebellion against a world that profits off your restlessness. You've listened to Elias' story. Now ask yourself, what is your version of the cracked teacup? That one humble thing that holds peace inside it? Maybe it's a walk, a prayer, a bowl of soup, shared with someone who sees you, a moment of laughter, with no reason at all. Hold on to that. Because joy was never far. It was just hiding beneath the noise. What is one thing you've been carrying that no longer serves you? Would you be willing to let it go, even just for today? Leave a comment below. Do you believe simplicity is a choice or a luxury only a few can afford? Let your comment be honest. Let it be messy. Let it be real. Because your words might just inspire someone else to finally put down what they've been carrying for far too long.